Good morning and welcome to Brandenburg News Network. I am Donna Brandenburg, and it is the 24th day of July, 2025. Welcome to our show today. 9 o'clock, I start right out with Sheriff Rich Mack, and then at 10 o'clock, it's Joseph Lombardi, and he's going to be talking about financial planning, financial freedom, creative ways to deal with some of this nonsense we have going on around us in the unstable, shall we say, markets that we have going on. I'm looking forward to both of them. So we're going to get right into it because I'm looking forward to talking to Sheriff Mack. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Donna, and thanks so much for having me. And it's a beautiful day for freedom.
It is. Every day is, and the happy part of life is that it's a choice every day to get up and do the right thing, to make a difference in the world, and to have a commitment to making the world a better place, even if it's one smile at a time. In the checkout at the grocery store, there are so many people struggling right now that being the stability in the storm is probably one of our biggest callings.
Yeah, well, and it could be a lot worse. We could have, let's see, what's his name, running for mayor in New York City. We could live in New York City being faced with this communist, or there could be a lot more. But it really alarms me that historically America has fought about 3 or 4 or 5 different police actions or wars, whatever you want to call them. They weren't lawful because they never had a declaration of war by Congress. But the point I'm trying to make with all of that, though, is World War II and Korea and Vietnam and probably a couple of others were to fight against communism. And now the Democrats have us embracing communism for the last 20, 30 years. And especially now where they're just blatantly open with it and saying, hey, we need to try something better. Our Constitution is really inadequate for the intelligence and political positions and the political goals that we have today. The Constitution just doesn't work. So we're going to try these failed policies and governments and forms of government that have failed throughout history. And we're going to try to do what Mark said, no God, no private ownership of property, and everybody will get the same and everybody will flourish. And that's the biggest lie there ever was, because capitalism is based on one key word, and that is free markets. It's based on freedom. It's based on human ingenuity and human initiative. And everybody can excel because there's always room at the top. And that's what capitalism does. And communism is just the opposite. It punishes anyone who wants to strive and get ahead and start a business. Nothing is owned by you. It's all owned and controlled by the government. And this is the antithesis of what God intended for us. God gave us free will. Communism destroys it.
Yes, and you see their subversive infiltration. Unfortunately, it seems to me like everything's really been infiltrated, and the language is always the same. The one of the things we're fighting here in Michigan is they're trying to change the Constitution by these amendments or proposals that get on the ballot, but rarely do people actually read the language and find out what's really behind them. And that's unfortunately the case right now. And I think there's so many different means that they're trying to subvert that Constitution that it's unfortunate that we haven't had the education through the failed education system to really be able to spot what's going on until sometimes it's too late.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're right. And that we can't learn from history. AOC and Bernie Sanders can't learn from history and look back at it and see which governments really failed and failed miserably. And I got news for them. Communism and socialism are not governmental prerogatives in America. They're not the alternatives that we can just our political capriciousness and whimsicalness that we can just yes, well, we don't like how things are working, so we get to try communism or socialism. They are specifically against the law. They are intrinsically against the Constitution. The Constitution was devised so that we would always be free to choose our own path and not have that done by communism or socialism or the government. And so if they could just look at it one little other step, we're not a democracy either. We weren't even supposed to be a democracy. And all you Democrats and a lot of Republicans, all you politicians, hang your hat on saving our democracy. Well, the founding fathers assailed democracy, and we're seeing what democracy does now. It can be very dictatorial. In fact, we live under a democratic dictatorship now. And so, no, the only thing that is there is first that we are a republic, but it's got a condition. It is a constitutional republic. And even if the people, well, I'm here to do the will of the people. Well, if the will of the people is wrong, then no, we're not. And we're actually to stand against it because I swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. And that's the supreme law of the land. And if my constituents ask me to do something unconstitutional, I have to tell them no. I can't do that. I promised you I would not do that when I took my job. So it seems like the corruption of Washington, D.C. has completely taken over, and the attempt to destroy our Constitution and our God-given republic is really what they're doing, either wittingly or unknowingly, but they're doing it. And we've got to fight that corruption. Our charge is to fight that corruption.
Well, and I think it starts with the individual. When they took God out of school and prayer out of schools and tried to destroy his presence by the secular humanist view of everything. Yeah. Honestly, it really took our focus, or humans' focus, away from service-minded, which is what the Bible teaches. And then they even took what the Bible teaches and what God tells us to do, which is service and consider others more than yourself is the command. And so you're supposed to serve, but they replaced it with blatant Satanism, which is do what thou will. You can do whatever you want, no problem. Push the limits. Right. Never care about what anybody else is. It doesn't really matter. You're not having an effect on anybody. It doesn't destroy their rights. It's the biggest lie in the whole planet. If we actually thought about what we were doing, let's just say, for example, in our homes, if we thought about the neighbors around us, and let's just say we want to have a gathering here and it gets loud and such, that even affects the neighbors around us. And I always tell people, you should live like your grandma's living next door. How would you want somebody to be a neighbor to your grandma? Well, treat everybody that way, or someone else you love. You should treat them the way that you would like to see others you care about treated.
Yeah, that's a good rule to follow, the golden rule. And I don't know why this is also difficult for the leftist extremists. We're just hell bent. We're going to give everybody everything that successful people have. And you talked about neighbors. If my neighbor has 3 cars and I don't have, and there's another neighbor down the street that doesn't have any cars, then all of us as neighbors get together and we walk over to the neighbor with the 3 cars and say, hey, you have 3 cars. And Joe down here at the corner, he doesn't have any cars. He needs a car. So we're taking one of your cars and we're giving it to him. Do we have the right to do that? Do we have any authority or
Absolutely
right
not
to take his car? No, of course not. But now our government says that's exactly what they should do. And government cannot do for us what we cannot do for ourselves. We, the people, all political power, all political authority is inherent in the people. The first 3 words of the Constitution, we the people. And so we bestow upon government all political power. Well, if we don't have that power, we can't give it to our government to do. And so they cannot do that. And that is exactly what they've been doing since, since Johnson declared the war on poverty. It started before then. FDR really gave us the New Deal with, oh yeah, government will take care of you, and we'll just take it from the people who have earned it and worked hard for it. And that's the thing. That is complete equality. Every one of us can work. And the smartest people I know are the ones that work the hardest, smartest and hard. But it takes work. And that's the one thing these corrupt government officials are denying. They're denying us our right to work and to make my life what I want it to be. Somebody else is supposed to take care of me. No, never believe that, and never go along with political dogma that says, yes, we're here. I'm here to take care of you with other people's money. Yeah. No.
Yeah, they never earn it themselves. The people in the government really don't serve a whole lot of a function. I'm pretty sure we could get rid of about 90% of it and we'd all be better off. It's just like the regulations, the regulatory agencies and such. They're a joke. I mean, I've watched how they work for years, and they're pretty much just kind of justifying their job and the theft of our time and our property rights, time's property rights. And it's really sad because if we got all these regulations out of the way that are worthless, I think people would be so unencumbered. They wouldn't even know what we don't know what this really looks like, because everybody who's alive has lived under this tyranny for so long, and it's just been a constant downward slope on our lives and such. So we haven't even realized how badly it's changed. But they don't have the right to tell us how to, really run our businesses or make any of those regulations, because what it is it's a cartel, and it's a price fixing cartel to protect their financial interests. So, and then they get little cushy government jobs and such. I mean, the whole thing is like wrecked.
Well, I would like to tell Bernie Sanders, hey, you've got a lot of money now, and you made it because of your government position. Why don't you give your money to the poor?
I love that.
All of it. Yeah, sell your home or invite illegal immigrants to come live with you. So, yeah.
Yeah, that goes back to, if they're going to make those policies, they should be the first ones to open their doors. And if they're going to send us into an undeclared war, then their kids should go first, because they believe on it, or themselves, instead of just sending other people to die.
Yeah, no kidding. So anyway, you're running for governor, aren't you?
Well, I'm the chairman of the Constitution Party right now, and I decided I've actually never stopped since 2022, because I'm non-conceding that election. Like, we should all be non-conceding 2022 and actually 24. Because even though our guy got in, we know there was a lot of cheating going on there. And until we hold the line on that and make sure that the elections are secure, no matter who's in office, we have to have, the blind scales of justice here. We've got to say the process is not being carried out correctly. and restore those elections. So right now I'm the chairman of the Constitution Party in the state of Michigan, and my goal is to work to earn whatever it is that I have on the plans for the future. So I'm suing everybody right now. I've got a suit on Jonathan Brader, the Bureau of Elections director, and he instructed me to commit a felony personally, and that's not going too well. And then the Attorney General's office sicked 5 attorneys on me, and that's not going well because they falsified documents. And then I did a lawsuit against Jocelyn Benson, and that's not going well for them either. They put another 5 attorneys to attack me in some form or another, and that's not going well because I don't really think they know how to be attorneys. I'm pretty sure they just ran anything they've done through AI because their arguments are pretty much like a 5-year-old's arguments. And so I'm really having a lot of fun with this. So yes, and I'm not sick of the winning. It's all going in a good direction. It's like, all right, go ahead and try to land another punch. You guys are just giving me a wonderful strategy game to play, and I enjoy this kind of stuff.
Well, good for you. Go get them, and more power to you.
Well, I tell you, I'd really like to work with the sheriffs here too. I interviewed between 1/3 and 1/2 of the sheriffs before the 2022 election, and I wanted to find out what we had. You got to find out if you're running for governor, you need to find out what you have to work with, especially if you understand the office. And so I think that to work with the people of Michigan and realize that the sheriff's office is the only constitutional office of peacekeeping and law and order in the state. The rest of them are a bunch of policy enforcing hacks. Honestly, I'm just going to say it out loud, who should walk away from their jobs as being part of the problem and go show up at the office of the sheriff and say, hey, we're going to do this. And if you're not constitutional, guess what? You're going to get a schooling right now. And step up as we the people and restore that office, because in Michigan, they are destroying community law enforcement by destroying the sheriff's office, and they're doing it by funding. And it's unfortunate, but if we want strong law enforcement, we have to have the sheriff's office, at the top of the heap there and run it through the counties.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. And when I was sheriff, 30 years ago, I actually brought this up to the chiefs of police in my county. And almost every county in America, even the small rural ones, have other police departments within their county. And so I said, you guys, that I really like all of you. You're all capable. But if we were really to be honest and fair with our community and our constituents, we would only have one sheriff's office, one law enforcement agency in this state or in this county. It's statewide, but in this county, Graham County, if we're really going to take care of the taxpayers and save them money, we would only have one department, and that would be the sheriff's office. And if we were to do this, that means that all 3 of you would be literally working under me. And I said, look, I think you guys know me. I'm not a power hungry guy. I'm not after power. I'm after taking care of the citizens and the taxpayer dollars. And I think we ought to really consider doing this. The 3 of them said, well, okay, we trust you and we believe we could work with you. But what about the next guy? And he comes in and he says, we're all fired, or that this isn't going to work anymore. So he demotes us or whatever. And I said, well, I can't control what the next sheriff does. But we should be doing the right thing now and see if we can make this break. But they wouldn't go for it.
Well, that's kind of an absurd statement by them, really.
Even if they had said yes, the city councils would have the final say in doing that. But I believe if the chiefs had agreed to it, that we would have made it happen. But what you're saying is absolutely correct. And the best sheriff in Michigan, one of the best in the country, Sheriff Darleaf, he agrees with this as well. And I don't believe it's ever going to go anywhere. The movement to make it only one sheriff's office. It should. And the sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer. And that says in my Supreme Court case. Now, I sued the federal government, right?
Yeah, I love that. I love it when good people are suing bad guys. It's like perfect. Get them where it counts in their pocketbook, right? And I want to go back to a point you said when they said that, who knows what the next guy's going to do? Well, guess what? It's nobody's business because it's we the people that can remove a bad sheriff. And you know what I mean? We've got recourse as we the people. So the arguments they gave you was kind of like very unrealistic argument, but I understand what you're saying because I agree with you on all of it. And Dar Leaf is a friend of mine, so I love Dar.
Yeah, and a very dear friend of mine as well. And he just goes about his business, doing his job, probably better than any other sheriff in the country, except maybe for Bob Songer out in Klickitat County, Washington. But there's a lot of good sheriffs, and we have about a nucleus of about 250 or 300 sheriffs in this country out of the 3,086 that are really staunch constitutional sheriffs. But we don't have enough, and that's what my goal is, to create at least 1,000, which would be a third of the sheriffs. And if we had that third, there would be no stopping us. And if we could just get some funding, and we get, we have people that join our posse and they pay $11 a month. And every now and again, we'll get a pretty decent donation. But it's probably the same problem with the Constitution Party. The people who are really out there defending and upholding the Constitution, we seem to have trouble getting funded. And I'm just telling you right now, everybody on this program, everybody in the country, if we were funded, we would already have this goal met. And, the traveling that I'm doing, like tomorrow, I leave for Florida, and I'm going to be at the Florida State Sheriff's Association conference. And then right after that, I'm going to North Dakota to help Josiah Royce campaign for mayor. And do you know what his website is? His whole slogan, constitutional mayor.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
this guy's a stalwart, and his opponents and people are just screaming, you can't do this. We can't go by the Constitution. We can't keep our oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. What are you saying? The Constitution is the foundation of America. Of course we can do it. We've been doing it for 250 years. So anyway,
can you imagine if we got in there and we ripped all of this corruption out by the root and just ripped all of this out? That is, I keep telling everybody, unless you hear from any candidate that word right there, nullification. Yes. And that means from the state level all the way down to the townships, refusing to enforce laws which are unconstitutional and just say no.
Nullification just boils down to this: sheriffs and local officials say no.
Say no.
Right? Yeah.
Which is beautiful. Well, what else is on your mind right now? What's going on in CSPOA and other things? I would love for you to come to Michigan. So I'm going to give you the invite here to help us with the Constitution Party here would be great. And maybe we could get the sheriffs together and talk about it, because I really think, that we need to have some serious discussions on this topic.
Amen to that. Absolutely, we do. Well, the first thing is I have a little booklet. It fits in your shirt pocket. Okay, it's very small. You can get one for $2 or $3. I think on the internet it's $3.
Is that on CSPOA?
It's the copy. It's a copy of my Supreme Court case, but it's the highlights. And so what I did for everybody in the country is after I won, it was such a miraculous thing. I mean, this case was a miracle. and it wasn't my idea. I never, ever anticipated or even had the slightest idea or notion that I would ever be suing the federal government. When I ran for office, I said I based my whole campaign on restoring the Constitution. Yes. And I ran on a strong constitutional platform. But I never said, and I'll sue the federal government, I'll sue the governor, I'll sue, no way. I mean, that's ridiculous. It just never crossed my mind. But they brought the fight to us, and they tried, the federal government, the decision is called the anti-commandeering decision or ruling. And it's against the federal government and the president, who was Bill Clinton at the time, and his administration. You cannot commandeer the office of sheriff for federal bidding and threaten the sheriffs with arrest if they don't go along with you. And that's exactly what they did. Donna, they threatened to arrest us if we didn't work for them for free. Okay. Now, I wouldn't have done the Brady Bill. I wouldn't have done it if they had paid me. But the thing of it is, they made no negotiation effort to have us just sign an agreement and do it. At that time, I had a contract with the Federal Bureau of Prisons where they could bring in extra inmates from the federal prison nearby, and we would take them. And they paid us for that. And it was a $1 million contract. And for a budget of $2 million, getting $1 million from them was really something. But the thing of it is, it was a mutual agreement. Now they come in with the Brady Bill and say, you're going to do this for us, and if you don't, we're going to throw you in jail. And so, folks, what I did with the case, this was against the Brady Bill, and what I did is when the ruling came out, it went 10 times, 100 times broader and further than I ever imagined. And Justice Scalia wrote the decision.
He's
and I'm telling you, this would help you with your campaign. You should be passing these out. Some sheriffs and county commissioners have used this and just say, look, this is what nullification is. And at the time, I didn't think I had an opportunity to do the nullification because I was completely by myself. I was the only sheriff in the country doing this until 5 weeks later, Sheriff Prince did it. But we were still basically by ourselves. Ultimately, 7 sheriffs out of 3,100 did this. And I didn't see an opportunity here for nullification, just saying no. Because if we had been arrested, then it would have been all over. And I would have been fighting this from a jail cell, or I'm sure I could have bailed out and then we kept the fight going, but I'd still have to get a lawyer. And so I decided that we needed to sue on this. And the God-given miracle was that we went all the way to the Supreme Court and we won. And it's just so miraculous. But when I started studying the case, I said, this stuff is so powerful. Every American needs to see this. So I put all the highlight points, the most important parts of the decision, and I put them in this little booklet. And you can read this in 10 minutes, but you need to really study it and you need to mark it up and you need to and refer back to the case and refer to the Federalist Papers, because Scalia actually about 5 or 6 times in this ruling, he quotes the Federalist Papers. In other words, he's quoting the Founding Fathers. He's quoting the Constitution. He's quoting the Declaration of Independence. And he actually said in his introduction of the case that, well, I'm going to read that to you. This is so powerful. Everybody needs this. And this booklet is available on my website. But and we can also send you a digital form of it. So listen to what he says here. Because there is no constitutional text speaking to this precise question, the answer to the Clio's challenge must be sought in historical understanding and practice. The Clio's challenge must be looked at historically. Okay? And who are the Clios? The Clios were the sheriffs that did this case. And they came, and the Brady Bill itself says the Clios shall make a reasonable effort to do the background checks on everybody wanting a gun. Well, the thing of it is, they're calling the sheriffs the Clios. It's documented in federal law, and in a federal Supreme Court decision. We are the CLEOs, the Chief Law Enforcement Officer. This is the only place you'll ever see that in writing, except for maybe Black's Law Dictionary and Anderson on sheriffs. But folks, this is absolutely the supreme law of the land, saying that sheriffs are the CLEOs. And this is why it's so beautiful, because Scalia, he went so far in this case that it defines federalism. It shows that the federal government is not our boss. Quoting again, we have held, however, this is Scalia talking, we have held, however, that state legislatures are not subject to federal direction. And so if we're not subject to federal direction, they're not our boss. Historically speaking, the states, we the people in the states form the federal government. They are a creature of the states, not the other way around. And we just don't get this because so many politicians lie and distort the supremacy clause. Oh, the supremacy clause gives supremacy to the federal government. No, it doesn't. It says you are supreme when you are in pursuance of the Constitution. Everything you do in Washington, D.C. has to follow the Constitution, or you don't have supremacy. The only time they're supreme is when they're following and obeying the Constitution, which is almost never. So they have no supremacy in Washington, D.C., especially how they dole out money. You know, here they are stealing money from the states and then telling the states, you got to do what we tell you or you don't get any of your money back. Stop sending the money to Washington, D.C.
Bam, that's what it is right there.
Yeah.
Let's just defund the federal government until they get in compliance. How's that?
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? But you see, that's the thing. When the states do what Madison said we can safely rely on the disposition of state legislatures. And actually, to just expand that a little bit, on every state and county official, we can safely rely on the disposition of the states and the counties to erect the barriers against the encroachments of the national authority. Well, when the state does it, when the governor does it to the sheriffs or to the counties or to the cities, same thing. We stand against it. We erect the barriers. And we even had a national conference that was called that, Erecting the Barriers. It's our job as states. It's our job as being part of the checks and balances within the Constitution. And not only that, now Scalia takes this, you won't believe this. He quotes Federalists. Now I know it's in here because I read it all the time. He quotes Federalist. Here it is. 51 at 323. Hence and I already have this memorized. Hence, a double security arises to the rights of the people. Well, stop there for a moment. How? How does it happen that the people have a double security to their rights? A double security to the rights. How does that happen? Scalia says it right here. The different governments will control each other at the same time that each will be controlled by itself. Do we have a federal government that controls itself?
Absolutely
no, we
not.
don't. Of course not. They're so out of control and corrupt, it's not even funny. So who or what is supposed to stand up and stand in the way and make sure that the citizens of our states and counties are not victimized by that corruption of Washington, D.C. or the state capitol? It's because the different governments will control each other. The sheriff's office is a different government. The county commissioners are a different government. The state legislature is a different government. The city councils are different governments. Our job is to make sure that the federal government or the state government bureaucrats are not victimizing our people, and that we stand up to who's supposed to stop the criminality of the IRS? Local officials, especially your sheriff. And if he needs to call out his posse to help him, then that's okay. It's up to him. and that is his prerogative. But we, the people, are in charge, and we can and should be helping our sheriffs nationwide. And that is exactly what we teach. You join our CSPOA posse at cspoa.org, and we train you to work with your sheriff and how you can legitimately, lawfully work with your sheriff to make your county a better place to live.
What are some of the most helpful things that people can do to help the sheriff besides just going and talking to them? I mean, the sheriff that we have in the county I live in right now, I had some disturbing news because pulling rank and using the rank that person believes they have to do work on a road around her house. And it's kind of disturbing, but people need to call this stuff out when they see it. And, but if you have a good sheriff, what is it that, besides holding a bad one like that accountable, what do you do with a good sheriff to help them? Because not all of them are good sheriffs in the state. People don't know really, stranger danger here, guys. You don't always know who you're talking to. I had one that threatened me, and that was just for basically saying some people don't know how to stay in their lane. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably a good description right there.
And that's his job. That's his job, to put other government officials back in their lane. Yeah.
Yes, not citizens. And that was he had a big problem right there. And I had my pointy cowboy boots on, so I'm glad it didn't get to go to that. Well, but you know what I mean.
You just should have said the Constitution starts with we the people. It doesn't start with we the government, or we the people, or we the government that stays in our lane. The Constitution was devised to keep government in its lane. But we the people, we're supposed to be making sure and holding the politicians' feet to the fire to make sure that they do. And when they want to start spending money that is not constitutionally or lawfully allowed, that's when we really need to get involved. But you asked, what can the people do?
Yeah, what can we do to be helpful? I mean, coming from a position of being a sheriff, what are some steps? How can we help the sheriff?
Well, first and foremost, almost every sheriff in this country, it's way high. It would be at least 95%. 95% of the sheriffs already have posses, and they're called the Search and Rescue Squad. And unless you're in a bigger city that really has the money, Search and Rescue is a volunteer organization, and that's what a militia is. Militia are volunteer citizens. Look it up for yourself, folks. It's defined like that in most dictionaries nationwide, and it is the truth. The word militia is mentioned in the Constitution 4 or 5 times, including in the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. What is necessary to keep freedom? A well-regulated, armed, and trained militia. Okay, so can the sheriff have his own militia? Yes, it's called a posse. And he can and he should. And this is where we, the people in every county, should be talking to our sheriffs and saying, first of all, Sheriff, how's your search and rescue squad going? And is it all volunteers? Yes, we pay for their equipment and we pay for their training, but we do not pay them for their time. It's a volunteer organization, and they're I'll tell you, our search and rescue squad, when I was sheriff, they were as good as anybody anywhere in the country.
Really?
We had motorcycles, we had horses, and we had a lot of desert in our community, and we had to go find people who got lost in the desert quite frequently. And we also had a beautiful mountain, Mount Graham. It was the Graham County, and I was the Graham County Sheriff. Mount Graham. People would get lost up there. They would go up there and a storm would hit and they'd get lost. And our search and rescue squad had the best communications, the best equipment, the best trained officers. And most of the time we found these people and we found them alive. And so, folks, it is the job of your sheriff to make sure that he has search and rescue available. And he has a volunteer organization or his posse. How about if you go and talk to the sheriff about, hey, let's expand the search and rescue. Let's expand to a posse. that is a Minuteman organization, a Minuteman posse, if you will, that's here to help you, Sheriff, anytime you need it. And you can train us any way that you want. And you can even get people who go through firearms training and go through the sheriff's own police academies for citizens, the Citizens Police Academy. They have them in a lot of different jurisdictions.
That. That's interesting.
It's great. And so, folks, you need to be involved. Call your sheriff and ask him about this. And maybe he'll meet with you. Maybe he'll have a lieutenant or a captain meet with you. You can also invite him to your meeting. And sheriffs love to go into the community and talk to people and answer questions. So get to know your sheriff. Your job is to get to know your sheriff, have a relationship with your sheriff. Join us. We will train you how to work with your sheriff. And it helps both of us. $11 a month or $99 a year. You become part of our posse. And folks, this is a peaceful and effective solution. And there's not very many of those left. Get involved in the solution that is both peaceful and effective, and it helps everyone in the community. It helps the sheriff, helps the people, and helps your organization and helps you.
This is fantastic. I love tangible, actionable steps, because everybody constantly asks, what can I do? Well, stay away from the distractions and get into something that actually matters. Quite honestly, that's a big step right there.
Okay, the simple thing first, join us. Go to cspoa.org. You were just showing the website. Thank you for showing that. People just go there, okay? And look, we accept gold or silver or cash or checks or credit cards, however you want to pay, and you can be part of our posse. And folks, every Wednesday, we have our CSPOA Posse webinar, and it's an hour long, and it's where we train you and we talk about what sheriffs are doing nationwide. We've talked about Dar Leaf. He's been on our program numerous times, and we have other sheriffs nationwide that are on there, and we talk to you about what sheriffs have done, what impact. Do you know during the COVID farce and fiasco, the lies, there were over 550 sheriffs nationwide that stood against implementing the COVID-19 mandates. First of all, none of them were laws. None of them were laws.
Yeah.
And so the sheriffs were telling people, like Sheriff Mark Lamb said, we're not going to shut you down. We're not going to arrest people for not wearing a mask. Are you crazy? And he was standing against the Republican governor. And Mark Lamb is a Republican. And they're friends. Governor Ducey and Sheriff Lamb were friends, but he was telling it straight. We're not going to do this. This is going to be destructive, and it's against the Constitution. People, you make your own decisions about wearing a mask. You make your own decisions about getting a vaccination. Okay, folks, 550 sheriffs stood against that. Sheriff Jones in Butler County, Ohio, same thing. 25 sheriffs in California. And a few in New York, a lot of them in Florida, stood against it. So, and Texas. Oh, don't forget Texas sheriffs. Yeah.
Yeah. Texas sheriffs are fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We got a good nucleus of constitutional sheriffs in Texas. So folks, I'm traveling all over the country. We're working with sheriffs every day, and the most important person that needs to work with your sheriff is you.
When are you going to be in Michigan?
Well, whenever you and John want me to get up there, I guess.
Well, yeah, and it's like tomorrow would be great. Now, let's plan something out and have you guys here, because I'd love to do an event or something with, not only the Constitution Party, because we are just Americans, okay? People that stand with the Constitution claim to be Americans. We're not necessarily party people. In fact, the party system needs to die, okay? It is so corrupt right now.
Only if you believe in what Washington said, that a two-party system would be the destruction of our country. Other than that, there's no. And it's true. The two-party system is destroying our country.
Okay, so I'm going to bring something up to you that I've got a real beef about right now. I've got a lot of them, but this is one of them, is that these parties that have taken foreign money, and they're doing it through dark money, PAC monies, all that sort of thing. But they're literally accepting foreign money. How is it that they're even standing right now? I think that's another lawsuit that needs to be brought because they're corrupt. And I don't think you can, once something is that corrupt and has that much money in it, it is almost impossible to right the ship. It's taken on too much water.
Yeah.
It's like a company or a corporation. You don't sit there and go, well, I'm just going to keep going forward to it. You start cutting, you start, you get a hatchet man and you start cutting, but they're not going to do that. It's too bloated and it's listing. Yeah. Okay. And so, but they need to be called to attention, and we need to stand here as Americans, not a this, not a that, not a protected group of citizens, not a discriminated group of Americans. I don't really care about that anymore. Stand as an American and look at each other as, hey, you know what? We're brothers and sisters here. We're brothers and sisters Amen. Under God Almighty. And this division nonsense has got to stop. And
well, this is amazing. This is an amazing irony that you're bringing up. And that is the Republicans and Democrats hate each other and always fight each other, kind of like all-star wrestling. Oh, it's a big
World Wrestling Federation. Give them the chair. Give them the chair.
Yeah. But this is the thing. The Democrats and Republicans will always come together when it's to fight the insurgents of a third party.
Oh,
and
yes.
They're way against the Libertarians, the Constitution Party, Independent American Party, whatever Musk is trying to put together. They're always against that. They want to keep the monopoly they have with this uniparty. And look, the Republicans say, no, we're way different than the Democrats.
No, they're not.
I'll put that in the bull-loney file. That's bull-loney. Why do we have the IRS, Democrats and Republicans? Why are we funding Planned Parenthood? Probably the greatest criminal corruption in the history of America. And both Democrats and Republicans are allowing it. Why are the Democrats and Republicans doing nothing to defund Planned Parenthood right now? Taking taxpayer dollars, forcing us with arrest and maybe worse, if we don't pay money to Planned Parenthood that is not a government organization, is not part of our government. They're a private club. They're a private organization. And we have to give taxpayer dollars to that, almost $1 billion a year, so that they can kill babies. And they provide no government service whatsoever. And then Planned Parenthood takes our tax dollars and sends a good portion of it back to those same politicians that helped them get it in the first place for their campaigns.
Yeah,
folks, this is the greatest corruption. It's criminal. And right now, I'm okay so far with what Trump has done in securing our country. But he and Mike Johnson had better get Planned Parenthood defunding at the top of their list very, very soon.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. The sanctity of life and the eugenics stuff that's going on out there that they're trying to push. This is so serious. The sanctity of life is so serious. We have to address these issues, and not only that,
too old, we can put you to death. If we don't want you born, then we just put you to death. And that whole mentality that it's okay to kill people by our own government is just again showing the ultimate fraud and corruption of the government that we have. And we have got to vote for different people. We've got to take a stand. America, you've got to wake up and you've got to take the stand. And look, the best place to stand is with a sheriff who is standing with you. Can you imagine that you have a march downtown and the sheriff is marching with you? And he and his deputies are making sure that you're safe in what you're doing. God bless the sheriffs of this country, and God bless the American people to work with your sheriff so he knows what you want him to be doing. You're his only boss. The sheriff has no other supervisor, and I know this is hard to understand, sometimes even for them. He does not report to another entity, does not report to a bureaucracy or a bureaucrat. He reports to the people, to the American people in his county. That's it. We, the people, are the boss of the sheriff. Period.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the best things in the world are pretty simple. You don't have to go through all the lawyers' pretended laws and statutes and case law and all that kind of nonsense, because half of that needs, probably 90% of that needs to be struck down too, because, they got us into that civil action jurisdiction instead of constitutional courts. And we got a real problem here. It's gonna.
We do,
But it's easy to unravel.
Judges are a part of that.
What's
Judges are a key component of that.
You bet they are.
They think they're kings and queens. And when Judge Hanna got arrested in Wisconsin, I said, finally, we're going after the real crooks.
Yeah, they just took one down over in Detroit too. Found out that she had like $500,000 that was sitting in an account somewhere. I'm like, wow, she's part of the Pelosi, Schumer, Feinstein, the Biden group right there. And I think that this is unfortunate, because we want to believe what these people say. Because they know what to say to be manipulative. We want to believe it because they use our good hearts and our intentions and wanting the world to be the right place, unfortunately, to capture our attention and our votes. But what they say and what they do are so far apart. We really have to be able to identify and analyze the situation of manipulation at its core. And with people like these judges that are funded by Soros, all that stuff, it's incredible. And the great thing is that truly the American people are waking up to this. And I think we're at the point of action right now too, which is good. Everybody's looking for a way to help.
Yeah. Well, we've got to be involved. And what did Jefferson warn us about? The price of liberty. I think he actually used the word freedom. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. Folks, who was he talking to?
Us.
He was talking to us.
Yeah.
He was talking to the American people. This is our government, and we've gone to sleep. And that's why we use the term so often, awake. We've got to wake up. We've got to see what's going on, and we've got to fix it. And it's up to us. We are in charge of this government. And it's not just because we vote. That when any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people, it is the duty of the people to throw off such government. And so, does that sound violent? It does a little bit, but there are so many different peaceful means within our reach right now, within our grasp, and we've got to exhaust all of those. And the most effective one is working with your sheriff and standing with him while he's standing with us and standing for the Constitution. You know, he can tell the IRS to stay out of his county. Why? Because they're breaking the law and they're unconstitutional. And they're doing random audits that is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. He promised, or she. There's only about 20 female sheriffs in America. So, but he or she, I don't care which one. They have a responsibility to uphold and defend the Constitution and defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That is his promise to each of you.
I love that. I really do love that a lot, because it is actionable steps right there. So what other things, we've got a few more minutes here. What other things are on your mind? Because I want to make sure that we use all the time we can, because I just adore you. I think you're an amazing individual. You're fun. And I just really thank you and appreciate all the work that you have put into, I listen to people talk, but unless they're doing the work, I kind of put them on a second shelf over here as not quite relevant. But you have done so much work, and the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peacekeepers Peace Officer Association has done so much. And I know several people in it. I can't wait to get John working with us, or we've just started talking about doing Constitution classes, and he's
really good at that, no question. And we'd love to have you join us and get all your followers to join us and be a part of this, making this a vogue organization, because we really are one of the right now. I'm going to go out on a limb. The one national organization in America, the CSPOA, is the only one really focusing on civil rights for all people, protecting civil rights for all people. And people are, oh, no, what are you talking about? The NAACP does that. That was what Martin Luther King formed. The NAACP has moved way away from Martin Luther King's philosophies and tenets, and they've become now a branch of the Democrat Party. That's all the NAACP is.
Communists. They're Marxists.
Civil rights. They are pro-Democrat, and that's a big difference. Because if you look at what the Democrats have been doing, freedom of religion, they don't respect that. They don't respect the right to peaceably assemble. They don't respect freedom of speech. They are very violent. Martin Luther King was against violence, and we are too. And we have never promoted violence. We have never advocated violence, and we never will. And I will tell you, one other person that really helps with the CSPOA is my wife. She and I have both dedicated our lives to this organization and to what it stands for. And it is a peaceful and effective solution. And we have never been a part of violence. In the 20 years that I was in law enforcement, I never committed an act of violence towards another human being. Never. I stopped fights. I didn't beat up people to get them to stop fighting. A couple of times I tackled people who were fighting. I didn't get up and beat them. I didn't spray them with mace. I didn't start beating them with my nightstick. I said, you can leave and go home, or you can go to jail. But folks, these beatings and some of the shootings are unnecessary. And so we've just got to really examine what we're doing in law enforcement. And that's why we the people have got to be involved in that. And I will say, one other group that we've been defending and working for, and that's the Amish. And an Amish farmer by the name of Sam Gerard got 6 years in prison in Kentucky with a crook of a judge, a Republican crook of a judge named Danny C. Reeves. He said 3 reasons why Sam Gerard deserved to go to prison for 6 years. Sam Gerard never committed a crime in his life. Martin Luther King was arrested over 30 times, and he never committed a crime. So why? What's this going on? Because one, Judge Reeves said this. He did not get permission from the FDA to make that salve out of chickweed, which is not regulated at all. He didn't get permission from the FDA. He showed no remorse and no remorse, no permission. Oh, what was the third one? Gee, what happened? See when I get up too early?
I know you're generous to get up early here to join us this morning.
And anyway, he mentioned 3 things that were not crimes. Okay? They're not crimes. Oh, he was stubborn. He was obstinate. The word that the crook judge used was obstinate. So he was stubborn. He didn't get permission from the FDA, and he wasn't remorseful. Are those crimes? But he served 6 years because of that crook judge. And I was there when this happened.
I don't know anything about it. Tell me a little bit more about it. So he was making a salve out of chickweed.
He made a salve out of chickweed, and you can order the salve off the internet. Amazon sells them.
Well, tell me, because I'm going to order it right now just as a protest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it as a protest. I do that.
I need to get me another canister too. But it has beeswax in it. It has eucalyptus in it, and
all right, what's it called?
And it has chickweed.
What's it called?
Just look up chickweed salve or chickweed lotion. I never even heard of chickweed until I went out and worked with this Amish farmer.
All right, this is fantastic. Look at this. This is going to be great. See,
there's probably several different kinds.
So, like, I'm that person who will buy it just on protest.
Oh yeah. So
you
might even say something about if you find one that's made by Amish, then buy that one.
Okay, but I'm going to see what it is. If there's an exact brand, let me know. And I will absolutely.
Well, the one that he made is no longer out there because he didn't want to go to jail again.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I think the one I had the one I ran out, but the one on the far right in that little canister.
This one?
But no, it was in the last picture.
Oh, let's see here. Let's see if I can go back to the search.
But chickweed salve, there it is.
This guy right here, is that what? Oh, that looks like a good one. It's $116.
Yeah, that one on where your cursor's on it right now. That little cat right there. There it is.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to be buying that just because I'm going to do it to as my protest. I do that quite often. I'll do
your protest by joining the CSPOA too.
I can do that.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. Well, we're going to do a time for you to come up to Michigan and stand with the Constitution Party up here and try to right this state because as you said, they're all breaking the law. I mean, I don't know. You probably didn't hear this, but in the last 2 weeks, I've had 4 Republicans ask me to run under the Republican Party because they said our candidates suck and we need to have somebody that will actually stand up and do what's right. And you're pretty.
That's a compliment. That's a compliment to you.
It kind of was, but then they insulted me and I said, well, the problem is I can't because it's a criminal organization because you guys have taken foreign money. So what do I do with that? They're like, just lie and get in and then you can change it. And I'm like, okay, now you just told me to lie, which tells me that you're a liar. So now we've got this whole thing has just gone to hell in about 2 seconds here.
Well,
but it's kind of amusing. You just have to think your way through this sort of thing. So, well, thank you for coming on. And I look forward to talking to you about coming to Michigan and let's right this state. We need to absolutely work together with John and you, and let's get Michigan moving in the right direction here and serving all people, not for money, but for honor. Do you have any last words here?
I'm with you all the way, and thank you. And everybody, make sure you get your 2 pocket books, your Constitution, keep that with you everywhere, and your Supreme Court case, Mack Prince case, the only time in history where sheriff sued the federal government and won. Join us in this holy cause of liberty. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go to a 1-minute break, and I'll be on with Joseph Lombardi, and we're going to be talking about financial security. I'm going to learn a lot on this today. This should be fun because I always learn so much from everybody on here. It's amazing. We'll be right back. Good morning and welcome to the second hour of Brandenburg News Network. I am Donna Brandenburg, and it's the 24th day of July, 2025. Welcome to our show. I want to thank Sheriff Mack a lot for coming on here. He's a great guy. And welcome my next guest, Joe Lombardi. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Donna?
Great. Fantastic. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me on.
Well, tell me about, I pulled up your website and tell me about your business and or what you're doing. It sounds like you had a traumatic event that shifted the focus of your life. And tell us your story.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in the investment insurance realm for over 2 decades, and I don't think I should have been here. I was supposed to be a contractor. My dad owned JV Lombardi Builders out of Connecticut, and his business was flourishing. He had like 27 guys, 8 trucks. We were working in Greenwich, Connecticut with the CEO of like the NFL, CEO of Coca-Cola on this one strip of road that had nothing but huge mansions. And my dad was doing really well. He's growing his business to tune of over $25 million. And this back in like the late 90s. So, that's a lot of money today, and even more. And he ended up falling 3 stories off a ladder when he was hanging a mural in front of one of those mansions. And
oh my goodness.
yeah, bone in his foot disintegrated. I was 15 years old. My sister was about 1, and she was born with fetal alcohol syndrome. My ex-stepmom drank vanilla extract and Listerine during pregnancy and almost killed her. And then
Oh my goodness.
here I am at 15, and my dad's in the hospital getting reconstructive surgery on his ankle and rehab, and he's gone for over 18 months. And my ex-stepmom was gone for years. And I'm left with this child at 15 years old. And I could have asked for help and went to DCF, and I didn't want to go that route. So I dropped out of football, track, and basketball when I was a junior, and I started raising my sister. I worked at a daycare before school, then I walked to school. Thank God the daycare and the high school were within walking distance. So it totally affected my life, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, Dad, you're so rich. How did you not think to protect yourself? How did you not think to build a solid financial foundation? And he always thought he was Superman. I mean, his calves were bigger than my head. He was a very, very strong Italian man, and mason his whole life, and then to construction. So my grandfather owned Lombardi masonry, and he worked with his dad when he was a kid. So he was just jacked, and he lost everything. And that made me realize, like, how many other people that maybe aren't worth $27 million don't have anything. And then how many people that are have anything. So I was bartending when I was about 19, studying finance at Southern Connecticut State University, where I met my wife, been together for 23 years. And, the CEO of Northwestern Mutual came in. He's like, hey, I love what you are doing, and your service was unbelievable. Would you ever think about joining the financial world? And I said, well, yeah, I'm studying that in college and economics. And so he basically hired me on the spot. He left me $1,000 tip and said it was my signing bonus on an $80 bill. And I was like, sweet. So I got into the industry when I was 19. And he's like, you need to work with contractors. You need to work with blue collar guys. You need to grind your butt off. So that's what I did for a very long time, having thousands of blue collar business owners, patriots, Christians, conservatives. And that was my niche. Those are the people I related with. A lot of my clients are Italian, and it's just what I've been doing. It's a trajectory and a path that God gave me. And I've helped over 3,500 people, and I got on the cover of many magazines like the Who's Who in Building and Construction, because I work with so many contractors in New England. And I also got on the top 40 under 40 because I work with a lot of Fortune 500 companies and handle, hundreds of millions of dollars. I have over 3 billion with a B dollars of protection and rollovers. And I realized, what are the ultra wealthy doing? And then I just copied what the ultra wealthy are doing, and I bring it to the middle class. And I say, hey,
Wow.
that's how I published 3 books that are all on Amazon. Being Your Own Bank, There's a Better Way Than a 401k, and Long-Term Care Without Long-Term Pain. And I give those for free to all the listeners you have. You just write an email to joe@ironhawkfinancial.com. I send you everything. It's absolutely free. And I just keep getting blessed with opportunity after opportunity. And then when you reached out to me, I was like, oh yeah, I would love to be on your show. So I really appreciate being here, Donna.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you coming. Your story is wonderful. How is your sister doing right now?
She is pregnant with her second child. I found out on my birthday, Friday, turned 41, and my birthday in the morning, it says, you're going to be an uncle to a nephew. So my niece, Smushy, that's what we call her. And so, yeah, she's doing good. I mean, not as good as I'd hope, because her mom lived in a trailer park, and then she had to live with her mom. And then my dad got Parkinson's disease, and now he's in a nursing home. And
oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then my grandmother had a stroke, led to dementia. She lost $4.2 million to Ludlow Nursing Home in Fairfield, having no long-term care. My mother died at 52 years old. Cirrhosis of liver, had no life insurance. So I lived it. I lived it going through the emotional trauma, the mental trauma, the spiritual trauma, and then on top of it, going through financial trauma. So at least I try and protect people from the latter.
That is so beautiful. And you know what? I find quite often that people who have really gone through some rough times end up being the best warriors because they don't do it for money or gain. They do it just because they know what it's like to go through a tremendous amount of pain themselves, and they want to save other people from that. And I think it's a beautiful story. I'm so proud of you. That is such a great inspiring story. I'm sure a lot of people can listen to that and go, more important than our material financial world, it's a spiritual capital that we build as we walk through this life. And you know what? You earn that. You earn it by hard times. You earn it by never giving up. You earn it by reaching out when nobody else will to help other people, and doing things because of honor, not because you're going to get, some sort of transactional payoff at it. And that's unfortunate, because the majority of what we see right now, it's all transactional. Well, you do this for me and I'll do that for you. No, you do it because it's the right thing, and end of the transaction. It's one-sided. God will bring it back to you in so many other blessings that, and it's not necessarily material, but God was like, wow, that's actually a good person. I'm going to make sure that they're loved and they're needed, or that they're taken care of,
It's serving. When God gives you a mission and you serve God, he provides.
every time.
We think we're in control. We're not in control. And if you live in the future, you're living in anxiety, and if you live in the past, you're living in depression. So you have to live in the future, and you have to let God direct you. Thank God every day you wake up. There was times in my childhood I shouldn't be here. I almost died a couple times in my life, and every day is a blessing. And when you live that life to say, hey, I'm here because there's a higher power that believes that I should be here, it gives you that affirmation that I'm in the right frequency, the right vibration. I'm in God's energy. I'm in God's light. I'm a beacon of hope for people. And he gives you an amazing life. And I'm talking, I have 3 beautiful children, 16, 13,
Aww.
and 10. My 10-year-old's on the U.S. tap team. We have to go to Prague, in October to compete against other countries. And she's 10.
Wow.
Just got back from Aruba a week ago. My best friend's wedding. I was the best man.
Congratulations. That's
just
so
got
beautiful.
back from Bahamas, winning the #1 broker award in the country out of 80,000 licensed financial advisors and agents. And it's just amazing when God puts you in this position and you say, all right, I'll grind for you to help, to serve. And it always comes back to you, always. And having God as your high, or Jesus, or whoever your God is, and then having the ability to say, I'm taking money out of there. Because there was a part of my life where I've had money as my all-time high when my wife decided not to work anymore. And I was responsible to pay for 5 humans in Connecticut, in a very wealthy town. It was like do or die. And so I put money there, and I grinded and grinded and grinded for decades. And then, recently I really found God, and I put Jesus there, and oh my God, and now I'm a national brand. I'm in all 50 states. Money's coming in more than I can even fathom, having, 6-figure weeks. Like what? And just grinding and growing and helping and providing and doing everything I can in my power to make sure that the people that I work with leave better than before they met me. And that is my #1 goal.
Do you ever notice how, let's just say that people that like to knock down those who have worked for their money, they like to knock you down and just say, oh, you're just some rich guy. Well, did you ever think that maybe God provided because he knows that we will do good things if he, it's not like we're sitting there like Scrooge McDuck on a mountain of gold coins or anything like that. People with a service mind will take those gifts given by God. Everything we have is God's. And they like to twist it and demonize people because they have money. Well, you know what? I've never seen a homeless person create a job. Okay. Yeah, that's just the way it is, But if God sees someone that is a service-minded person, the abundance flows. And we don't do good things to get things. We do them just because it's in our heart to do the right thing when we see it, and let God worry about the rest. It's like we're just following him. Now I'm unapologetic, and I hate to use the word Christian because in today's world it doesn't mean anything, you know.
I agree.
And it's unfortunate because there's so many infiltrators in our world in that are posing as Christians. 501c3 churches, you got a problem because they're taking marching orders from the government on what they can say, what they can't say, whether they're open, whether they're not open and such. Now, I believe in walking this earth with God in the name of Jesus Christ, and that he guides our every step. And I don't think a lot of people understand when I say that you walk with God, it is absolutely real. He will absolutely direct your steps, open doors, close doors. And as long as we're walking with him, everything, we know that we're exactly where we need to be at that time. We can walk through terrible circumstances, never miss a beat. We're not blown around by like leaves in the wind. We stay stable, and honestly, we are the calm in any storm that comes this way. That's true stability and guts to continue to go on. Like you, unbelievable story. One of my favorite stories I have heard of personal conviction and just raw guts. That's amazing.
Yeah, I was blessed. My mom left when I was 4. She didn't want me. So I mean, I started my life out where she wanted an abortion. I shouldn't even be here. And then my dad was pro-life, thank God. And then after my mom, had me, she realized I don't want to be a mom. She wanted to party and drink and live her life. So at 4, she's like, I'm going to divorce you to my father. She won custody of me. She was a woman in 1988 and didn't matter. So she took the house, she took everything. And then she called my dad 1 month later, said, come get your son or I'll put him in an orphanage. So literally, like, I lived in Clearwater, Florida. My dad drove down in a van with a blanket, a TV, and $500 in cash, picked me up. We lived in an attic with no running water. His own mom, my grandmother, said, don't expect me to be his mother. So literally it was just me and my dad worked all the time, and then, Mothers Against Drunk Driving came out. So my dad created DAM, Drunks Against Mad Mothers. And then he ended up going to AA and he quit for me. So he didn't want to lose me because he knew he was all I had. So like I basically grew up like eating noodles and eggs with ketchup, hamburger helper at the hamburger meat, getting bullied every day. My feet were growing in because my shoes were too close. I had holes in my shirts. But when you're a kid, you don't understand. It's just I didn't enjoy the bullying and people making fun of me every day, but it gave me the thick skin. It gave me the thick skin to say, no matter what life throws at me, I'm strong enough to handle it. And when you go through a lot of anguish and depression and anxiety and stress, you have 2 choices. You could be the victim or you could be the victor. And I chose that I am not a victim. No matter what happens, even though I shouldn't be here and my own mom wanted to kill me before I was born, I'm not a victim and I'm here for a reason. And when you have that conviction, you could do anything. And I think God showed me the path to say, hey, build a huge company, teach not only your thousands of clients how to save millions of dollars in taxes and how to protect their assets from market fluctuations and losses and diversify and build legacies for kids and grandkids and college plans for children, and that's a whole nother story if college is good or not, but save up money for your kids, so that they can start their own business. So I help so many people. I've delivered so many disability checks to people that are still receiving it today from people I met 20 years ago. I delivered death benefit claims to spouses who didn't work, and now they're financially safe while their provider of financial means is gone, and they can still live the same quality of life with their kids. And, I just know that the world is better off that Joe Lombardi and Ironhawk Financial is here than it is without. And I think that's why God just keeps giving me the strength to keep growing and grinding and coming on all these podcasts and getting that information out and meeting really, really amazing people like you, Donna, and having the ability to just keep going to provide value. If I wake up every day and I provide another human on the earth value, I did my job as a human today. And that's all I try and do every single day of my life.
I am so touched. It's like, I'm going to tell you right now, my heart is just singing, because this is the way we all should be every minute of our day, making every minute of our life count and using it in service for others. This is wonderful. Well, tell us more about what you do, because just your inspirational story alone is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, so I figured out, I worked in Wall Street, I figured out that like when you deal with Wall Street investments, 401ks, IRAs, SEP Simples, pension, deferred comp, when you really break it down, right? When I was in Wall Street, they told us to what? Get as much money under management. Just take, everyone got a 401k and IRA, they want to invest in their retirement, just get their money. Because on the way up, we're charging 1.5% fees, 12B1 fee, Class A share fund fee, money manager fee, annual account fee, mutual fund expense fee. So then I did the math. I said, well, if you invest for 30 years at 1.5%, simple, this is, by the way, compounding fees, that's 45% of your contributions Wall Street stealing. Then if you compound it, it's over 50%. So then I'm like, wait, so we're taking over half of our clients' retirement account? And then they're like, yes. And if the market goes up, look how wonderful you are. You're a great investment advisor. And if the market goes down, tell them it's a great time to buy. And then you're a great financial advisor. Either way, you're robbing them. And I'm
Oh
like,
my gosh, that's so horrible.
it is horrible. The Wall Street's a little bit, it's an IRS arm of the government, Wall Street. So then they tell us, oh yeah, and then on the way down, when you take distributions out of your, you have federal tax, state tax, FICA, Medicare, unemployment, Social Security tax. So then half of the money stolen by the government. So people are investing in accounts where their principal, they see less than a quarter of their own
Oh my
principal.
gosh.
And I was like, this is not okay. And they're like, oh, don't worry. The rich people don't do that. I said, rich people don't own 401ks and IRAs and SEP Simples, pension, deferred comp, 457s, 529s, Chets, Rydels, 403bs. They don't own that crap. That's for the middle class. And we're extracting all the wealth from the middle class. And I'm like, this is not okay. So I was making a lot of money in Wall Street, and I quit. And I started my own business. And I found this guy, Mike Lynch, who has his own radio show, Money Talk, with on WICC in New York City. And I started working with him, and he told me about IRS code section 7702 back in like 2005. And so since then, I realized that IRS code section 7702, similar to IRS code 401k or 403b, those are just IRS codes, 457, 529 college savings account. Those are IRS codes. And I said, well, what are the rich people using? He goes, oh, anything in the top like 1,000, that's for the people to get taken advantage of and the sheep. What the rich people do, IRS code 7,702, which is all the way towards the bottom of the IRS code book. That code allows clients to build a tax-free, sue-proof, divorce-proof in most states account where you're guaranteed not to lose using option contracts that is averaging 14% annual tax-free compounding. And more importantly, you can lean the money out of the account. So let's say you had 100,000, you pull 90,000 out, you still earn interest on $100,000 through a thing called non-direct recognition. They non-directly recognize the loan when you pull it out. And I'm sitting there, I said, that sounds too good to be true. So it took me literally 1 year of trying to poke holes in it. I said, this got to be a scam. It's got to be BS. It's not. When you think of somebody like a baseball player, like I always use the Shohei Ohtani, reference, because he just got $700 million to play baseball. And like, where do you think he puts his money? Right? He doesn't put it in Roth IRAs. He doesn't put it in 401ks. They all dump their money in overfunded life insurance in an IUL, an index universal life policy. They then lean the money out. They put the IUL in an irrevocable life insurance trust. So now when they die, that money avoids estate taxes and ordinary income taxes to their beneficiary. And they have the ability to leverage and lean by being their own bank. Right? It comes down to a very simple scenario. Let's say you're somebody like Elon Musk, hate him or love him, but I like using this scenario. If he needs to build a SpaceX rocket for $100 million, he has two choices. He could sell $200 million of Tesla stock, pay $100 million in federal and state income taxes, lose out on $200 million of future growth on that said asset because he sold it, net the $100 million, buy the rocket. Well, he doesn't do that. He'll take $100 million of Tesla stock, bring it to a bank, get a collateralized assignment on it, which means he still owns it. It's a loan, and loans are legally tax-free, so he pays $0 in taxes. Net the $100 million, buy the rocket. Rocket does what it does. He pays back the $100 million. He actually made money on the loan because that said asset that's being leaned outperformed the loan rate of 2 or 3 or 4%. So if the stock got 10 and he paid 3, he had a negative 7% interest rate loan, meaning he made 7% on that loan while he was buying the rocket and paid $0 in taxes.
Oh, wow.
So when you understand this is not BS, this is real. I'm talking in the IRS code book real. And you have somebody like me who's been doing it for decades. And I'm with all carriers, all 200 carriers in the world that I can offer. And I invest in it. All 3 of my children have these accounts right where they were born. My oldest is almost a millionaire at 16, even though I own it. It's non-disclosable on the FAFSA form or secondary form, so it doesn't disqualify him for grants, scholarships, loan trade student loans, or financial aid. So now I just built an asset that is free from creditors, that's free from the government, that's the safest place to put your money, that survived the Civil War, World War I, the Great Depression, World War II, never needed outsourced money, a mutual company, which means you don't have stockholders stealing 10, 20% of your profits every year. All the money stays in. Everybody joins together. It's A-plus rated carrier. Been around between 130, depending on what carrier you do, to 180 years. This strategy has been around. It's not new. And
Wow.
so, but it's new to the average American because the government suppressed the ability to mass advertise. You've seen a commercial for alcohol. You've seen a commercial for tobacco. You've seen a commercial for drugs and heroin and oxy and pharmaceuticals. When's the last time you saw a commercial for financial strategies or products? The answer is never, because they want you to keep putting money in your IRA 401k because half of it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the government. And that makes up over 10% of the gross domestic product of the government. And then they're so bad at spending money that they're extracting half of everyone's retirement account, and they're still broke. They're still minus $37 trillion and counting, with now the big beautiful bill is $40 trillion.
Well, I don't think they're bad at it. I think it's intentional. It's intentional theft.
Yeah, it is. It's 1,000,000% intentional theft. Yes.
Yeah, you can't look at their
I was
bank
being kind
account
to the government, but yeah, I do not like our government. I love our country, but I do not love or respect our government.
It's a crime syndicate is what it is.
It's the mob. They just copied what the mob did in New York City and made it federal, made it through the whole country. That's why they don't care if you're black or white anymore to put you in slavery, because all of us are enslaved.
Right. You're right. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is just phenomenal. I love this. This is incredible.
It's a new thing that the average person, it goes over a lot of people's heads. And it really wasn't in the main stage when Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump were on the debate stage in 2016. And Hillary's like, show your tax return, show your tax return. Donald Trump says, I'm not showing my tax return. And she's like, you're a bad orange man. You don't pay taxes. He goes, it doesn't make me bad. It makes me smart. I use the same IRS codes your donors use, and you have 30 years to close the loophole, and you don't. And they were referring to IRS code section 7702.
Wow.
So it's one of those things where there's 4 things that are guaranteed to happen to you, right? One is you're going to live long and die. That's the one we all want, right? Hopefully you're healthy. And then the other one is you die early. The other one is you get disabled, flip a coin twice. If it's heads twice, you're going to get disabled. And then if there's 2, like a husband and wife, just flip a coin once, so it high probability in your life you're going to be disabled. The worst one is long-term care. I mean, most Americans do not plan for long-term care. So if something happens to them, like, oh, Joe, I'm fine. I got $3 million. It's like, are you fine because $20,000 a month of tax-free expenses? That means you have to liquidate $40,000 a month of assets to cover the long-term care. And then after the government and the state steals all your money, Then they throw you in jail in a 10 by 10 cell called a nursing home with a stranger. And
You're
so
right.
when you look at it, people don't do this planning. And I've seen my grandmother go through it. I see my dad in it right now with Parkinson's, and I try to take care of him with a business. I got 4 cats, a dog, I coach. I have a wife. I have 3 kids. I couldn't do it. So it's one of those things where I don't have the resources or the time to do it. So it's one of those things where if you don't plan, right? If you fail to plan, your plan's to fail. And so many Americans are just drowning in credit card debt and this and in financial hardship, and they spend too much of their means, and they take out loans that are cancer to their future financial success. And it's one of those things where you got debt taking a lot of people's sanity away. You have taxes taking a lot of people's sanity away, and it's not fair. So there has to be something that you can do. Well, what you can do is just copy what the rich people do. That's it. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You say, what is somebody like the CEO of Apple doing? Do they have a 401k? No. What's somebody like a sports athlete doing? Do that? No. What's something like a business owner that owns a major multi-million-dollar company? They all own this. And then you want to go one step further. Look up BOLA, bank-owned life insurance. BOLA is what banks transact within money. So let's say Wells Fargo owes $2.7 million to Bank of America. They don't even use their own banks to transact money. They use 7702 to send money back and forth. So if banks won't put their money in the bank, but they expect you to put your money in the bank, like, look at what our system is really set up as. And they're like, oh, I have FDIC. It's per member 250,000. So these are the things like, oh, I'll buy 5 accounts with 250. I'm fine. It's like, no, you're not. So there's so many things that the average American doesn't understand, because the federal government makes the rules. Who has the gold makes the golden rules, and they own the educational system. So do you think they want to teach their slaves Social Security number XYZ? Do you think they want to teach their slaves how to be financially free? Or do they want to teach their slaves how to extract as much money as possible from them so they could build their bombs, kill their innocent women and children overseas, do their inside trading, the Pelosi strategy, and extract, making $400,000 a year? They're worth $180 million. Think about it. The average American, this just goes over their head, or they just don't want to think about it. But when you open your eyes to what's really going on, what are you doing to protect your family financially? What are you doing to put more of your dollars? You're trading your time for money. And what are you doing when you're trading your time for money to keep that from you? Because the definition of slavery is when you provide and give and get nothing in return. That's called taxation. So what are you doing to alleviate that, so more of your God-given talents that you're transferring into dollars, because you're trading your time on earth for dollars, away from your family, away from your wife, away from your friends, away from your children, to trade that for dollars? What are you doing to keep more of that money with you so you can enrich your quality of life with the people you love?
I love this, and I want a copy of your books.
Yeah, so just anybody listening that wants my books, my magazines, there's 2 Forbes articles, one written by a certified public accountant, one written by a financial planner, on Forbes under Rich Person's Roth. I'll send you the articles. I've been featured in International Business Times, Business Insider, Market Insider, the Daily Caller, the Marquis Who's Who in the Congressional Library for 2023 right there. I have publications. If any of your listeners want my magazines, my articles, the Forbes articles, all 3 of my books for free, my radio show, Money Talk with Ironhawk, with hundreds of thousands of listeners on Apple Podcasts. If you want my website, my YouTube video, everything will be sent to you absolutely free. There's no obligation, but learn this strategy, because if you incorporate this strategy into your life, whether you're 20 or 70, you can save yourself hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, and it's free. The information's free. I've never charged a client $1 in 22 years, and I never lost a client $1 in 22 years. A+ rated on the Better Business Bureau. 0 complaints, over 3,500 clients. Find me another company that has thousands of clients, not one complaint. Because both of my strategies, you're guaranteed not to lose in writing by multi-billion to trillion-dollar companies that the ultra-wealthy people use on a daily basis, where the average American is investing with the government, the same government they claim they hate. They're doing 401ks and IRAs and SEPs and bank accounts. And I'm like, you can't sit there and say, oh, I'm a patriot, I hate the government, and then all your money's in with the government. And it literally makes no sense. and then the craziest thing that banks do is I see clients with $200,000-$300,000 that own like a landscaping business or a mason business, and then they have $100,000 loan out for a crane, and they're paying 14% on the crane while they have $300,000 in cash. And I'm like, do you realize what, Bob? Do you realize what they're doing? They're taking your $100,000 that you gave them, where they're paying you 0, and they're giving it back to you at 14% interest negative. So you putting your money in the bank is actually costing you 14% negative rate of return. And so by being your own bank, you take your money, it's out of the government's eyes, it's out of the banking system, it's in the insurance companies, which, believe it or not, is the safest place to put your money. Look at 08, look at 01, look at the Great Depression, look at anything in history. It's just, that's the safest place to put your money, period. It's even safer than holding gold and silver, believe it or not. I know. So I meet a lot of patriots who have millions of dollars of this physical gold, and I'm like, you need to diversify. And so I do a lot of planning, whether it's with fixed index annuities, whether it's with IULs, whether it's with trusts. But it's one of those things where you need to do that planning, because if you let the government plan for you, you let probate courts dictate where your net worth goes, it's going to go in their pocket, not your children's.
This is amazing. Well, continue to talk. I just want to sit here and listen to you talk for a while, because I think everybody would rather listen to you than me right now. You've got quite a bit of information.
It's a lot, right? I meet clients every day, about 10 to 12 of them, and a lot of it takes time, right? This strategy, we've been brainwashed and we have been trained not to know this. We've been trained to go into debt with student loans, mortgages, car payments, credit cards. The whole point of this earth, and what the government is colluding with Wall Street and major credit card companies, is if they can take from your future self, it's 10 times more profitable to them. So you need to find a way to get out of debt, find a way to have a budget, find a way to tell your dollars where they're going. And I know it's a lot. If you have kids, you have a business, you have family, you're like, I just want to swipe a card and I don't have to worry about it, and I'll pay it when the money comes in. I'm just too overwhelmed. I get it. But that's like going to the gym. It's like you have 5 selves. Right? You have your physical self, your mental self, your emotional self, your spiritual self, and your financial self. So it's so vitally important that you make a priority, which I know it's like the spinning dishes. I got all these things going at one time. I get it. That's the whole point of what they're trying to do to us. It's why our own children can't even buy a house now. The American dream is dead due to inflation, poor spending habits, the Federal Reserve. So at least what you can do is try to give your kids a head start. At least that's me as a protector and a provider for my 3 children. That's all I'm trying to do, is give them a start to get a house, to have a family, to make my legacy, my blood live on. Because to me, the legacy is the most important thing, because when I'm gone, I still want to be helping the people I love. And I can do that with an irrevocable trust. And I'm learning all this stuff, and I've been doing it for decades. And then I give that information to clients that I meet with, and then they set up plans. I had a farm where the guy was going to lose his farm, and I had him put the farm in a trust, then an irrevocable trust, and I had him buy the air rights to the trust, or to the farm. So now planes can't even fly over his farms, because he was very big on like natural food and the GMOs and coming in, and he had really good old seeds that have been regerminating, and he didn't want to have that mixed in with the GMO seeds. And So there's tons of things that you can do with this strategy. It just all depends on what your goals are and what you want to do. And I go very complex to very simple. Hey, Joe, I'm broke, but I need some life insurance. All right, get a term policy. It's very important to do those type of things.
This is fantastic. You froze up there a little bit. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, video froze up for just a minute here. I'm sure it'll come back. There you go. So, well, I know you've got a hard stop coming here, and I don't want to go over your time, but would you come back again and talk to us again?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. Yeah.
I love this. And do you ever travel and talk and meet with people to other states and such? Or
I mean, if it's within New England, I could drive there. Yeah, I get invited to major podcasts in California and Miami. It's just tough with my 3 children, the football, the lacrosse, it's one of those things where I would love to do in person. But it's time, I just don't, I'm at a point in my life, but yeah, I mean, if there's an opportunity, absolutely.
Well, this is wonderful. I'd like you to come in and, maybe we can do something here in Michigan, one way or the other. We'll try to get something worked out that's good for you and your family and everything. So thank you so much. Well, I always end our broadcast here on with a prayer. So
Please.
Would you like to say the prayer? Would you like me to?
Absolutely. If it's okay, I would love to.
I would love that.
God, please protect Donna. Please protect every American that's listening. Please make sure we keep demons, evil energy, negative energy out of our lives. Please continue to have us grow like a flower or like a butterfly inside a cocoon. Help us grow spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and financially, because unfortunately we need dollars to survive in this world. Please make sure that everybody you love is protected, is growing. And in Jesus' name, please continue to help Donna grow her business and help all their listeners to have a great day today and a better life tomorrow. Amen.
Jesus' name, amen. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Well, do you have any last words? You've got a few more minutes here, and then I'm going to do my normal non-conceding statement here at the end.
Just if anyone needs my information, it's very simple. It's Joe at Ironhawk Financial, Joe at Iron like the metal, Hawk like the bird, financial.com. Just put info, Donna, podcast, information. I'll send you everything. You won't be on any type of email blast list. You won't be hounded or anything. My booking link will be sent there if you want to book a meeting with me one-on-one. Like I said, it's absolutely free. But yeah, just write an email to Joe at ironhawkfinancial.com. I definitely will send you all the information that I have absolutely free. Again, I'm just trying to free people from the slavery that the government has put us in. And I also lastly want to say thank you, Donna, for allowing me to use your platform to get my message out. And I definitely look forward to seeing you soon. And I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your day.
That's wonderful. Well, I'd like to, we'll schedule you back on again. Your inspirational story is just totally made my day. And your life is a testimony to God Almighty and what he put in you. You absolutely were not a mistake. And you are such a wonderful person. And I'm sorry that your childhood was so traumatic, but look at what it's done. It's like, I always say that everything that needs to grow needs a little manure to grow. I'm a farmer. So, the bad stuff that happens in our life is there for a reason. And quite often, very, very good things grow out of that. And God takes everything, good and bad, and all things work for good to those who love the Lord and are called according to his purposes. So we take it, we accept it, and it's fantastic. Thank you for all the gifts, God. So thank you so much. So that's where we go to that part of the show, boys and girls, where we go to ding, 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 go to brandenburgforgovernor.com, because I'm the best non-conceder who has ever not conceded in the history of the United States of America. And I'd like to have a discussion with the rightful president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump, in cowboy boots. I'll wear them better because I wear them every day. Then we talk a little bit. Then we talk about important stuff. And it's all good. We continue to take back the United States of America, which is what we all should be focused on right now, is making every minute count. You matter. Joe matters. We all matter. God created each and every one of us, and your life matters. The sanctity of life matters. And you know what? We can spend every minute of our time looking for those opportunities that God just kind of drops in our lap. And take the time, use it to do good things and be a blessing to this entire world. You know what? If we want to change this world, it starts with us every day, checking our integrity, our morality, and our honor. That's the first thing. Don't compromise when evil comes to your door. You know, as I've been saying, honestly, you know, we can make brownies with dog crap in it too, but I don't really think I want to be eating this, right? And so we need to stick to a standard that doesn't just accept the short invasion of evil, because evil is it's incremental. It starts and it continues to erode, and the entire goal of it is to destroy us. So we need to keep it out. We need to keep it out of our lives and also help the other people who are being victim of said activities to have hope, to see that honor and that integrity, and the help is there and that people actually do care. So with that said, God bless you all. God bless all those whom you love, and God bless America. Make it a great day. Be an inspiration to everyone around you, and let them see your life as a testimony to God Almighty. Stay in the line, Joe. I am going to, I don't think I'm going to be on tomorrow. I've got a few things I want to do. So tomorrow I decided I'm going to take a break. So we'll see you Monday, unless I decide to turn the cameras on. So have a great weekend.